Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Oh, no worries.
Of course, thank you.
I know it's obviously very different times where you are across the globe.
It's like 9 p.m.
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm a grandma, so I'm actually wearing pajamas.
Yeah.
And I've just put a jacket over the top of my pajamas.
Hey, this
and Mark's like, this is on camera. I was like, yeah.
That's
Keep
one
it
of
real.
over the Zoom, the year that we've been doing this, I think a lot of people, I remember speaking to, say, I don't know, Jason Sudeikis, and he's in his front room in a hoodie. He's like, I don't need to get dressed. That's fine.
Yeah,
it's all good.
It's so good. It's so good.
Congratulations on the absolutely. Congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
I've literally just finished watching it about half an hour ago, so I'd spent the morning blubbering. So thank you for that.
Oh wow! Oh, great. That's good to hear.
I just wanted to begin by asking. I mean, this is a film that you've been working on for a while, and obviously because of COVID and lots of other different things, releases have been put on hold and everything else. So you must be delighted the fact that slowly but surely people are going to get to see it all across the world, hopefully.
Oh yeah, I'm so happy. I really, recently I've been thinking about it's so cool that once you make a film, I really believe in if you can make a film, eventually it'll find its audience, it'll find its way. And I love being a part of films too that take a while to find their audience and continue to kind of grow over time. And it's been a really cool, fun journey with this movie. I mean, premiering it in Tribeca was cool because it was right before COVID hit. So having that face-to-face interactions with folks, and then culminating into our kind of limited release and streaming in October, and now eventually out in the UK, which is amazing.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad I didn't see it with an audience though, because of how much I was blubbering through the film. It's probably good to be sort of in my bedroom, just quietly, but I don't know. Maybe
and I love that. I love, well, of course I love hearing that. And I love watching movies like that too. I love going out to the cinema and seeing films in person, but I don't know, sometimes, the right film and on your laptop at home, and it hits different in a way too. So I can really, I love hearing that.
Good. So how did this all start? Because I know you've made a few films before, similar, I guess, in the style and the way you want to make your films, but how did this one kind of come about? Because forgive me if this is incorrect, but I think it came from something personal for you both.
Yeah, for me, all the big questions like, where do we go when we die? And why are we here? And how did we get here? Are kind of like in everything that I do in a interesting way. But this film in particular, it was at a point in my life. My father is ill, and I was, just thinking about death a bit more than the average person. And just thought, okay, let's try and make a picture about what that experience of knowing that you're going to pass, what that would look like, and realistically with a child and through the mind of a child. And it's been a really, really rewarding journey, really emotional journey, and interesting.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. Teresa, what was it like for you being in this as an actress, obviously with Mark and obviously with your family as well? Does that make the whole kind of making a movie thing easier or more difficult, or is it a stranger experience than some of the other things that you've done, given that it's set in amongst your family?
I think it was twofold. I think it was it was kind of, there was a duality to the experience for me. It was, half of it was like, hee, this is so silly and fun, and what are we doing? Like, this is kooky and crazy, and we're ad-libbing, and now we're laughing about the word Uranus, and like, I'm sure this won't make it into the movie, right? And then sure enough, it's like one of the scenes that people always talk about. So there was that aspect of it, which there were days when I wouldn't take it as seriously as I do when I'm on a film set working with people I don't know, because I was like, I'm busy. I can only shoot 1 hour today. And also it was my son, and he was just a little 3-year-old, so it was very organic. It was kind of like, all right, we're going to like shoot today, you around, are you available, like let's just do an hour, and then maybe tomorrow we'll do 2 hours. And it was just a really different way of shooting things. So there was a part of it that made that easier. There was less pressure, but then you also have to be really on your toes and ready to just switch gears from mum life into, all right, now I'm portraying a character, and it's this very specific character, because I felt a certain responsibility to play her in such an authentic way, because it's such a traumatic experience for a person to go through, to be seeing the love of their life dying, but also trying to hold together a family unit and be a good parent and show up for your child. So I found it easy in some ways, and then I found it really challenging.
Yeah. How has it been for Bodhi? Has he now got aspirations to, when he's old enough? Has he started to like think about winning Oscars and all these kind of things when he's older?
Yes. Yes. It only just came up recently. It came up about 6 months ago. I was doing a film in Estonia, and he became very close to the little boy that played my son in the film. And he was like, I want to do what he's doing. I want to go to work with you. I want to go and be in movies. And sort of begged us to, he's like, can I have an agent too? And we said, look, you can do it as a hobby the same way that you play football or you've started learning guitar. Like, you could do it as a hobby, but it's not going to be your career at age 7. Once he's finished school, if that's what he decides to do, then fantastic. I mean, we're all about it if he's passionate about it. But right now, I think he's just the novelty of it sounds really exciting to him.
Yeah, when we made The Place of No Words, it was so wild, because he knew very much what we were setting out to do, and he had already at 3 years old had been on some film sets, and it was really fascinating to see how he developed his technique and his way of working as a 3-year-old. It was really so cool. I'm so obviously immensely proud, and I could tell. It's like, he has a special thing here, the ability to also kind of shut out the spectacle of behind the scenes and camera and people being around, and kind of lose himself to the moment in a way that was really inspiring.
Yeah. I've loved being a fly on the wall in your house when you get a phone call and it's, say, Steven Spielberg, but he doesn't want to talk to either of you. He wants to talk to your son. That would be a...
We're like, we've tried our crew to have this moment, and you're 7.
Mark, I wanted to ask you about the fantasy side of it all, and the way that you use that to explore the story. Was it always going to be that setting, or was that something that you kind of always wanted to explore? Because I guess you could have said it in any, but the fantasy stuff really has with kind of the angels and life and death and all that kind of stuff, it really fits the story. So I wonder whether that was something that you decided on early on.
Yeah, no, that all was, and a lot of that too is almost directly lifted just from my children's experiences, Bodhi's experiences too. Really, the film is such an attempt at me trying to honor my children's mind, honor the mind of a child. And the way it jumps around and fantasy and play and imagination is such a huge part of being a kid. And yeah, so, fairies and angels and magic and farting swamps and glowing nights and big creatures is also how, that I was inspired to want to make films and want to become an actor when I was younger, was through predominantly like fantasy films and Henson workshop movies, the Labyrinth and Never Ending Story, were huge movies for me. And so there was also an attempt to like honor that for myself as well too, like my childhood experience with those films.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about, for me as an 80s kid, the Bog of Eternal Stench is always a fun thing. So I did wonder.
I know. I was like, where did you get a farting swamp from?
Yeah. Hey.
I don't know.
Yeah. Talking about life and death, but you've got to have the Uranus jokes and the farting swamp.
You've got to. It's imperative.
I mean, the amount of like fart jokes that we deal with on a daily basis, it's just like
Pooing.
That's all it is. It's like
pooing,
farting,
bums, penis.
Yeah, it's like
all
no,
those jokes.
it's relentless.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that actually, because the kind of goblin characters towards the end of the end of the film, one of them looked very much like Hoggle from Labyrinth as well. So it's nice you mentioned Jim Henson, because I guess that was for you as a kid, that was a big, Labyrinth. We don't see those kind of movies anymore where that would be all CGI and stuff now.
Totally, yeah. And this was Henson's workshop, which was amazing. Helped my makeup designer Mario Torres worked at Henson workshop, and they gave us the animatronics. So it was actually Henson creatures, which that was a definite like bucket list thing for me. To the fact that they were willing to support a filmmaker like myself, and it's not a massive film. We didn't have a huge budget, but they really believed in the story and what I was doing, and so that was really, really cool for it to come full circle in that way.
Yeah, and Teresa, you get the opportunity to fight some robots, which I thought was pretty cool, and some like kicking and stuff.
Oh my god!
She did that in one take.
Well, I had no time because I was shooting a Discovery of Witches season 1. Was it season 1 or season 2? It was season 1. And so I would shoot from a Monday through Friday, and then I would get in a car and drive 6 hours up to Snowdonia and shoot with them on a Saturday, Sunday, drive back 6 hours and have to do like another full week of filming. And so I remember that was on a Sunday, and my driver was sitting there, Dave, who was also my driver on a Discovery of Witches, and he was just like in the trenches with me. He was like, we do really have to go, if we're going to make it back to you for you to film tomorrow, like we need to go. So we had like 30 minutes to shoot that sequence. And our friend Kai was in one of the robots, because the crew was so small. It was just our friends, there was like 10 people. I was like, we didn't choreograph any of this. Like, this is completely, I'm just going to go for it. And I totally booted him in the head. Yeah. Like my fly kick smacked him properly. And he was like, dude, I'm sorry, this is a small budget. We don't have a stunt coordinator. We're just doing it ourselves here. But I just had to go for it. And I used my training from I Am Number 4. And I was like, I was doing all my little fly kicks that I remember doing when I was a 23-year-old playing number 6. Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Yeah.
When you get that call from Kevin Feige at Marvel, you don't need to audition. You can just show him that. It's like one take.
Yeah. Seriously. Did you not see that?
The reaction to the film. Obviously, you've obviously shown it in America, and you've shown it overseas, so many like universal themes. How excited are you for people to see the movie, given that obviously, you know, not everywhere cinemas are open, that they can explore the movie at home or with friends and family in a different way than they would normally?
I'm so excited. You know, I'm so excited for people to find this film, and it's been such a beautiful, fulfilling journey. And I'm really, I think I'm most excited because I know that this film is, it's not what you expect is a big thing that I've been hearing from a lot of folks. And I think that they're depending on, you know, if you see just the creatures and a couple images, you can think that this is a straight up maybe fantasy film, right? And I like that. I like that this takes people on a little bit of an unexpected emotional journey in a way that has been really great to experience with people. You know, I think I tried my hardest to really honor what this is like in an authentic way. And so, and I've seen that pay off with people throughout the last year. Literally, like, you know, holding people who are weeping in my arms afterwards, and people, you know, just saying thank you from the like bottom of their hearts, like seeing the movie at the time that they'd seen it and experiencing a loss at the same time. Like, there's been some really profound exchanges with people, and so I'm just so happy that it's finally getting out to the rest of the world too now.
Yeah. And how important is it, do you think, for the industry that these movies exist, given that, you know, most of the cinemas, even now as they're reopening, are pretty much full of, you know, the big event movies, particularly during the summer?
I think it's vital. You know, I love artists. I love artists, and I love the language of cinema, and I love purity of intention and a real thoughtfulness about the art that you're making and why. And for me, I've been really lucky to keep my films purely artistic expression. They haven't been contrived or motivated for any type of commercial success. So they're not, I don't approach them in some ways that films are typically kind of put together. So this is, you know, I make things that come from my heart and my soul. And I just feel so grateful that I'm able to share my work. And I think that, you know, when you're a real true artist, it's a hard, it can be a hard, challenging journey, but you are what make it culturally rich. You know, you are you become the reasons why cinema really like can transform and change things and inspire in a deep way. And I think, you know, that's consistently have been people who kind of work outside of the motivation of kind of commercial success in a way. So I think it's I don't know, it's kind of like the lifeblood of it all for me, really, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You do have I'd be remiss if I didn't talk to you about this very quickly. You have a big pop culture stake in the last 10, 15 years of with Scott Pilgrim. And honestly, I can't not see my rubbish men come and collect my rubbish without hearing your voice.
That's so cool, man.
It's a strange thing. Every once a week, that song comes.
That's amazing.
It's so strange. It's so strange.
That's honestly amazing.
So strange when I hear that song. Obviously, it was 20 years. You couldn't quite celebrate the way I guess you wanted to last year because of COVID, but you did your virtual reunion and stuff like that. And now the internet seems to go mad because finally they can hear Brie Larson's version of the song, and everyone's going a bit mad.
It started charting on the Billboard charts.
Yeah, she's number one, I think, somewhere, which is just bizarre.
Crazy.
Gosh,
yeah.
Now she's got a number one song. I don't know. But that film, obviously, I was talking to David Oyelowo yesterday about some movies that he's made that didn't quite in terms of box office, but then now have this lifeblood that everyone has such a big fan base. And that is one of those films that wasn't a big box office hit, but it's become this kind of sensation, and the fan base for it is so rabid. That must be a different experience to what you've had with this movie, but It must be so exciting to be part of something that's like that.
It's the coolest thing. It's literally the coolest thing. I've never experienced it before on this level. I've never had a film that's been re-released in movie theaters, you know, a decade later. And it almost becomes like way more fulfilling and gratifying, you know, because I'd take that than just having like a big smash hit for a weekend or a few weekends 10 years ago, and that's it. Like a movie that endures like this is so cool, and it's so meaningful, you know. It really, it's energy too that like is encouraging. It keeps me motivated and happy and excited that I'm an actor and that I've had these opportunities that I've had in my life. And you know, Scott Pilgrim is such an interesting movie because I say it all the time, like I can watch the film without the experience of being in it. It's really interesting. It's a movie that just exists like that for me. It's almost like I can appreciate it as a fan as well, which is so cool. And I think everybody in the film can do that, has been doing that as well, which makes it extra special. You know, I think we're all fans of the movie as well.
Yeah, it's strange how that cast was such a stacked cast 10 years ago, and now fast forward, Oscar winners, Captain America.
I know, it's crazy.
You've been directing films, you know, Anna Kendrick's been doing, like, it's just bizarre. It's just bizarre.
It's really cool.
That's the thing.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Before you go, Teresa, I have to ask you, in the UK, Discovery of Witches is a big deal, so I've been told.
Yes.
Yeah.
Season 3, I think. People keep asking me in my day job, when is it coming out? Are you busy?
You know what? I honestly don't even know. I only just did ADR for it. I'm like, guys, what's happening? I think it'll be next, like January, February, from what I'm hearing. So next year, like 2022, the top of 2022. That's the word on the street right now. But you never know. We thought season 2 was coming out a lot sooner than it did. But yeah, it's like probably the main question I get on my social media, regardless of what I post about. If it's completely has nothing to do with the Discovery of Witches, like the fans are like, oh, when's season 3 coming out?
Yeah.
But
I love it. I love that.
I know, so cool. It's so funny. I was like, I wish I knew. I wish I had the inside scoop.
Yeah, I think COVID obviously has affected it, I guess, in some, everything, isn't it, in some shape or form?
Yeah, and there's also lots of like special effects. There's just so many special effects, and because it's the trilogy, it's the final season. Yeah, they want to get it right, and there's some really massive, epic special effects sequences, especially towards the last couple of episodes as the show wraps up. And I know that they just want to finesse it and make it perfect.
Yeah. Well, in the history of cinema, I guess, and TV in some respects, the third one is sometimes, you know, so you've got to be on the money.
You got to be on point.
So true.
Absolutely. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you both. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so
much.
I
really enjoyed the film. I hope you get so much more great feedback for it, because it is wonderful. So thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Thank you
right.
so much.
Stay safe. Take care.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey.